Mr. Dilip Pathak. It is immensely a great opportunity for all of us, especially to the viewers who joined us from across the globe from different parts of the world as well. Today we have well-renowned people with us from dairy industry as speakers, as panelists on board from Sri Lanka, from Bangladesh, from Nepal, and of course from India. I would like to thank Udyog Prerna, who are our knowledge partner for this webinar. Moving on, I would like to introduce our webinar moderator, Mr. Dilip Pathak. Mr. Dilip is an attitude and result-oriented professional offering over 15 years of experience in the field of product development, vendor development, supplier quality management, lean and supplier, customer satisfaction and quality production and assembly line management. He's a trainer, facilitator, project quality coordination, currently associated with Snyder Electrical India at Vadodara as a senior manager SQLD part of corporate procurement team. So I would like to welcome Mr. Dilip Pathak. So from now here onwards, I hand over this webinar proceedings to Mr. Dilip Pathak. So thank you so much, sir.
So thank you, Mr. Ilahi. So I officially welcome all of you in this webinar on dairy farming and technology. So we have 4 speakers today for this webinar. So briefly, I will introduce about 4 speakers. Before that, the key topics of this webinar is, first topic is dairy farming and milk procurement and India perspective. Second topic is challenge and opportunity for the dairy industries. Third topic is dairy industry during COVID-19 and beyond. So, and last but not least, the topic is the dairy industries post COVID-19 and dairy prospect in Bangladesh. So, our speakers would go through all these 4 points. They will share their viewpoints, and in last we have question answer session. So I would request technical team to mute the line. Only speaker will speak, and online whatever the questions will come, we will try to reply then and there. So coming to the speakers, so our first speaker is Dr. Chandrakishan Sant. He is dairy management advisor in India, and I would say Mr. Sant, he has a degree in veterinary and science, animal husbandry, diploma in livestock, advanced dairy farming, technology and management, and the firing passion on understand the issue in system at the grassroots level and outspoken nature. Dr. Sant is on a mission. He has a mission. He comes with a rich 35 years of experience, during which he has worked as a trainer and advisor of dairy farming. He has undertaken many projects and was instrumental in developing a large number of dairy farms. Dr. Sant has been associated with dairy cooperation like Gokul, Varna, Rajam Bapu, Patil, Dood Sang, etc. Spanning across many states, engaging himself in increasing costs, Dr. Sant was successfully in guiding with 14 lakhs dairy farmers with various management techniques to optimize their farm milk yield and in turn profitability. Dr. Sant undertakes dairy farms project, building new farms or optimizing existing farms on turnkey basis. He gets involved from inception to conception, setting up the dairy farm as per farmers' need, training and guiding labors. So I would request Mr. Sant to share your viewpoint on this topic. Thank you very much. Over to Mr. Sant.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, Mr. Dilip Pathak, for introducing me. Now, Mr. Shashwat, can you just load the slide?
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes the voice is breaking.
Hello. I hope everybody is able to see a view that I've been looking at many companies from India as well as abroad, trying to get a foothold in the dairy farming and the milk procurement areas of the dairy industry. Now, what is happening is these people have been looking at various options to get more information on these aspects, namely, say, www or Google or some magazines and all that. But unfortunately, not much of information is available on dairy farming and milk procurement in India. So this is a small attempt from my side for the people to understand what is happening. Can we go to the next slide, please? Next slide, please. Now, India, what are the important facts we know? India is a very large economy. We are already marching towards acquiring the third position in the world. As you know, India, the size of India is very big. It is absolutely a small continent on its own. We have already entered and moving in the area of self-sufficiency. We also have about a strong foothold in the cyberspace. India is blessed with the young people, like more than 356 million people are in the age of 10 to 24 years. What we have been showing, of course, before the COVID era was Indians have been traveling to all the countries worldwide to get knowledge, to get different perspective of the businesses, as well as to seek the opportunities worldwide. So as such, what is happening is Indians are becoming progressive day by day. India also forms one of the largest consumer markets in the world. At the same time, we are, of course, a rising economy with stable policies. And not to forget the fact that we are number one in milk production. Next slide, please. Now, India, what are the important facts? No, but we have to go deep into them to understand what is what. We have got 22 recognized languages, and the dialect of every language changes every 20 kilometers. Please note that India does not use English as a medium of communication throughout. If we go towards north, we have Hindi. If we come towards Gujarat, it will be Gujarati. If we come to Maharashtra, it will be Marathi. It will go to Karnataka, it will be Telugu. Kannada. If you go to Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, it's Telugu. If you go to Kerala, it will be Malayalam. So what is happening is every state has got a language of its own. We may have a Hindi as a national language, but the education usually is always in the local language. I'll give a simple scenario. We all the people know that Kerala is a state with 100% literacy. But what we don't know is that Kerala is literacy is only in Malayalam, not English. So this is a very important aspect. Now, what we are seeing here is that 70% of India is also living in rural India. English is also very widely accepted because this is a language which is used by most of the government communications and officials. So English is also known, but of course it is known by very few people comparatively compared to the population of India. Information technology also is in a vogue, and we have got too many IT people who are going abroad and making their shine in every aspect. But this is possible only where English language dominates. And mind you, what is most important is the Indian agriculture as well as dairy industry is still with the small and marginal farmers. When I say small and marginal, what I mean to say is the people owning only 4 farmers is a small farmer. And this forms the majority community of the community of India. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now, what are the different facts what we see? India is previous slide, please. India is number one in milk production, and we are targeting and almost reaching the production of 400 million metric tons. Now, in India, the most important thing is the milk as an integral part of daily food. All the Indians like liquid milk. If we have done a survey 10 years ago and we tried to find out what is the growth rate of milk in India, what we found out was the population of India was growing by 7%. The requirement of milk was growing by 7%, whereas the production of Indian milk was increasing only by 4%. So there's always a lot of demand and supply for the milk. Milk is what you say is milk is a very good source of protein. Of course, cheap and in it is been partaken by each and every person, irrespective of. At the same time, what we find in India is we have got reasonably good milk processing facilities. We have got National Dairy Development Board, which is also a very big support to the cooperative movement. Amul, as you rightly know, the taste of India is almost now available worldwide. At the same time, what we see is that multinational brands like Nestle, GSK, Heinz, Cadbury, Danone, Levers, Abbott, they are also now names associated with the milk procurement and milk products procurement from India. Now, recently, we have got entry of a large French conglomerate called as Lactalis. And that is also a good thing. An expansion of Lactalis is taking place. At the same time, we have a lot of FDIs also visible in this business segment. Next slide, please. No, I think there's one more slide missing here. Just check. Now come to the Indian dairy farming.
Okay.
No, one slide is missing, sir.
Okay.
Let's check. Fifth field. Yeah, there is. This one. Fifth, yeah. This one, yeah. Yeah, correct. Now, if you look at the dairy farming scenario in India, the farming, what are the challenges here in India is the Indian breeds have got a very low milk yield. So we have got below average breeds. The feed and farm management practices are also, leaving a lot to be desired because the farmer in India has been following traditional practice for years together. And as a result of that, the productivity of animal is not taking place. Secondly, in India, mechanization automation is because what is happening is the average herd size is small, and since the average herd size is small, the return on investment for mechanization or automation is not to a level, so that people are afraid to use mechanization automation for the smaller farms. And like I said before, average yield is low. So what is happening is many resources which are already present with us are not being deployed or not being used. At the same time, we have got too much application of computer-based technology. But again, this becomes little prohibitive in the sense that because of the price structure and mainly, secondly, because of the language. Because most of this computer-based technology is available in English and it is difficult for a farmer in India to understand this. Thirdly, the maintenance also becomes a difficult picture. I'll give you a simple example. Last year, there was a company which approached me saying that they will keep the record of a farm on a yearly basis. So when I approached the farmers on this with this idea, saying that your record will be preserved by a company on their computers, they flatly refused to do so because they said we would not want to share our information with these people. And at the same time, we don't mind paying a one-time cost, but we will not be paying cost every year because they will not show us our information. So we have to understand the psychology as well as the mentality of the farmers before it like the dairy farming is still with my farmers only. Mr. Shashwat, next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. No, the previous one. The previous one, please. Now here, what are the challenges ahead for Indian dairy farming? This scenario is slowly and steadily changing. What I am looking at in the COVID era and all that, in the COVID era, what has happened is there are hardly a few businesses which are staying stable in India, like the mobile, the internet, the IT, the food, the dairy sector and all that. So there are many people becoming interested day by day to put up big farms in India. So we have got a lot of new farms coming up with number 100 and all. But all of you have to maintain one thing and remember one thing, that the herd size, maybe say 1,000 animals plus, are very few. They are only hardly in 2 digits. I can count them on the fingers of 2 hands. So we don't have farms. What we have to target the size of 100 to 500 animals. We are having too many programs on clean milk, but these programs are always implemented only with the focus on the machinery and the cooling system. What I am not able to understand is actually a healthy animal. If we look at the animal and try to keep it healthy, it will always give healthy milk. But it's not been for emphasis more on the machines and all those cleaning vehicles and all that. Anyway, that's the thing. We are introducing new extension programs. They are being slowly introduced. Because of the change in the government, we are having a big infrastructure and now efficient transportation is possible. And of course, like I said, the new entrepreneurs with patience are now trying to come to the business. Next slide, please. Now, what is the time for change and what is the things which we have to remember for the new companies trying to enter here? Now, we must put our efforts towards changing the scenario. How this is possible? This is possible by educating the producers. Now, mind you, when you say educating the producers, the basic thing is that should be done in a language which he understands. Unfortunately, most of the people trying to come to India are trying to advocate everything in English, which is just not possible. In fact, let me share with you. I remember 2 years ago, I went with the Consulate General of New Zealand. He wanted the biggest cooperative of the world, Fonterra, wanted to come to India with their education systems in India. When he saw that a person having milk capacity of almost 20,000 liters per day was not able to communicate in English, he was really surprised. So then I told him, I said, this is what is India. Indian, most of the people don't understand English. So if you are going to come and try to influence the farmers with your knowledge, it may not be possible. It will be possible only if we try to train the trainers who are in India and then try to establish them by virtue of giving them an open hand to go and talk to their farmers. So what is important is we have to understand the farmers and farmers' needs. Secondly, what is possible, the time for change can be deploying more resources to the farmers. Now, these resources could be in terms of guidance by virtue of which they can improve their balance, they can improve their management systems, they can improve their ration balancing and all that, because like I said, India is a very huge country. The ingredients being used for utilization of feed in the cattle keep on varying everywhere. Also, due to variation in the climate, we have got too many raw material ingredients. They have to be changed. So balancing of ration forms a major task. This can be done. And of course, we can have also scientific ways to manage the farms. So as a result of this, what I would like to suggest to the companies which are trying to enter in farming on the alliances is, they should focus on the need of the farmer, at the same time the language of the farmer, so that they are able to communicate better and understand, so that only selling of the equipment may not or service may not take place, but at the same time the optimization of farm can take place. At the same time, the big milk processing houses should enter in big farms and encourage farmers to maintain medium herd size. Let me share with you, Nestle has got farms like this in Punjab. So that should be a thing by virtue of which the quality of milk can be controlled. And the effort should always be on collection of milk, quality milk, and not voluminous milk. So we should always try to, the new companies trying to come to India should always try to focus on improving the quality of milk and not the volume of the milk. Next, please. Now, what are the growth solutions for India? I have tried to make it simple. We must put our efforts towards changing the scenario. Now, bring more and more experienced veterinary doctors with knowledge, information, and practical experience, and a good quality dissemination of the same to the farmer in a language which they understand. Let me tell you very frankly, it's a really sorry state of affairs that India does not have a single dairy training institute which is imparting practical training or hands-on training. Most of the institutions in India are classroom trainees. So by virtue of which, what is happening is the doctors as well as the people associated with this dairy farming are not able to get the exact information. So if the companies can think on these aspects of developing a few education institutes or skill centers, then that would, of course, have a very fruitful for both India as well as the companies which want to come to India. Now, we should always try to develop the computer programs aligned with the user's need. I am looking at the people who are trying to give programs which are followed in New Zealand. Now, there is a lot of difference in New Zealand and India. So, what is happening is the development of computer programs should also be aligned always with the user need. That means the farmer's need and not their own needs. Then the economic solutions must be there with efficient customer support, of course. Now, customer support is one very important thing which should always take place. What is happening is that the machinery is being sold, but the service is not there. So in that case, what happens is the machinery manufacturer gets a bad name. This should not be there. And the solution must be economic. Please go back. Shashwat, please go back. Shashwat, please go back. Last slide, please. So now if these solutions can change urban India, these solutions in dairy farming will be able to change the face of rural India. We should look into these aspects more. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now coming to milk procurement. Milk procurement can be divided into two broad aspects, collection and transportation. What do you mean by collection? Collection means collection of milk from the production point to the processing plants. Now, what is happening today in India is that many efforts are being used and being done, but there's still a big challenge. Because in this case, what is happening is that there are 5 critical factors which are hampering this. Now, the first factor, the farm or farmers. That means that whether the milk should be collected from a farm, which can be on a higher side, or from different farmers. Second, collection should be done either in the can, which is also only 40 liters, or from a farm rolling tank, which will be about 2000, anything from 500 to 2000 liters. Then the time of collection, because what is happening is most of the cooperatives covering their districts or their places, the time of collection becomes a challenging factor because the area covered can be anything from 5 kilometers to 100 kilometers. So again, the selection of the route has to be also done. And the fifth and most important is, should the milk be collected directly from the farmer or through an agent? Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. Now, farm or farmers. Now, if you take it from a farm, say if a farm is able to supply good quality milk of 1000 liters, then it will be good because then you are getting a 1 point solution for a particular quality of milk. But if it is from different farmers, then what is happening is since everybody's management systems are different, the quality of milk will be different. And if this is the case, then a collection center has to be developed and the milk has to be collected and placed in that particular position so as to be collected later on by this. Now both these systems, the farms or the farmers, have merits as well as demerits. Second point which I discussed was collection in milk cans or farm cooling tanks. Now, in farm cooling tanks are basically bulk milk coolers, but again, that is the problem since what is happening is in farm cooling tanks, if the cooling tank is not filled to capacity, the milk may get spoiled. At the same time, the milk, if collected in cans, it is very easy to be collected, but the can is only of 40 liters. So now handling that can from the point of the farmer to the society, to the place where the chilling on take place can also be a cumbersome thing. Then again, like I said before, time of collection. Now, generally with the bulk milk cooler, we can have collection. But what about the milk being collected from a single farmer? That will be a different time range. So, when it should be collected becomes a major factor. Next, please. Next slide, please. Sashwat. Now, second is the collection. Now, route selection. In-can collection must be the process the earliest possible by shortest and best possible route. Now, this is possible because the systems in India have changed now, and the infrastructure has developed. So, if we have in-can collection, if it is reaching the chilling center earlier, it always is better. Of course, but if you have a chilling center on your own, then of course we can have some flexibility here. Now, direct or through agent, how the milk should be collected. Now, this depends on the company's policy as well as their manpower deployment. Because what is happening is if it is direct, then number of places the milk collected has to be too much. And the traveling time done by the vehicles collecting the milk is also becoming more. And thirdly, it might depend upon the product requirement. When I say product requirement, what I'm talking about is the product being manufactured by that particular cooperative for sale. Depending upon what type of products are being manufactured, the quality of milk can be varying. So that also has to be declared by the company. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now, what would be the best opinion? In my case, in my opinion, the best option can be many. We can have n number of permutation and combination for collection of milk. But then, of course, it depends ultimately on the organizations to pick up the options. Now, when I said about the product, what products are to be considered, then we have to consider what the products, selected products can be. The products can be pasteurized milk, UHT milk, fermented products. Fermented products can be anything, curd, yogurt, buttermilk. It can be plain butter, it can be butter oil or milk powder. So depending upon the requirement of that particular cooperative, the product we have to select from where the milk has to be collected. Then again, the production choice, captive farms, contract farms, or farmers. Like once again, I'll give the example of Nestle. They are doing this system, they're following this system in Punjab, and Abbott is trying to do the same thing in Maharashtra to some extent. They're trying to have contract farms wherein the quality of milk can be controlled. Of course, both of them are also collecting milk from the farmers, which becomes a little tedious progress. But to achieve all this, what is important and what is to be paid attention to is the farm management in terms of breed, feed, and the milking system utilized by the farmers. Of course, automation also forms a main key in this. Now, collection and transportation can, of course, be dependent upon the infrastructure being followed by the company and the policy of the company. These are the basics. What I am trying to tell you and show you is what are the ways and means how the milk procurement is done in India. I hope before entering the Indian market, it would be ideal for the people to understand what are the exact prevailing practices so that they can position their products in a better and prospective way. Next, please. I would like to thank you all for listening to me very patiently. If you have any queries, I'm here. I'll be more than happy to answer all your queries. Thank you very much. If you want information, you can contact me. Next slide. You can make a note of my phone number as well as details. I'm available on the phone 24 hours a day. Please feel free to call me anytime. We can discuss in detail because this is a subject which has to be discussed.
Thank you very much, Mr. San. So all the questions we will take end of the after covering all the speakers. So now I am going to introduce our second speaker, who is Mr. Take B Thapa. Currently, he is holding the position of Senior Dairy Industry Specialist and Chairman, Nepal Dairy Science and Association. Before that, he was Senior Dairy Advisor, FAO, Kathmandu, Nepal. If I talk about his academic, so in his academic, he has done the BSc in 1974-78, Dairy Science College, Anand, India. He has done the MSc in Dairy Technology from NDRI, Karnal, India in 1988. UNDP, Gambia, West Africa, as a university dairy specialist in 1992. He has done dairy processing and marketing advisor. He was dairy processing and marketing advisor in 94 to 96 in government of Nepal. He hold the position of General Manager, Dairy Development Corporation, Kathmandu in 1998 to 2000. Worked as a senior dairy advisor in FAO, Afghanistan in 2006 and 2014, as well as FAO consultant in Zambia, Guyana, Zambia, Tajikistan, FAO, Rome, and FAO, Bangkok. He is founder, vice chairman of College of Applied Food and Dairy Technology, Nepal, and the only college offering B.Tech dairy courses in Nepal. As well as he is promoted private sector cheese company in Ilam, eastern Nepal. He had attended IDF International Dairy Congress in Denmark, Shanghai, and Parma, Italy. Led number of dairy sector studies. Currently, he is chairman Nepal Dairy Science Association. So I would request Mr. Thapa to share his viewpoint in front of our viewers. Over to Mr. Thapa. Thank you very much. Please unmute Mr. Thapa yourself and then.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to thank Dilip for your elaborate introduction about me. And as well, I would like to thank Futurex Group, Sumo Roy, for inviting me to be part of this web conference today. Well, we have heard a lot about from India, the largest milk producer in the world. And now I'll come with my, let me go and share my screen. First of all, then, where is this one? Okay. Well, can you see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And you know, the topic of my today's deliberation, discussion, or presentation, or whatever you say, is dairying during COVID-19 and beyond. You know, this in fact, this title was very important. Also, it's a challenge to present this this discussion this afternoon. Well, first of all, I would like to start, you know, talking to you about this photo. You could see a cheese racks. Okay, you know, this cheese rack, this cheese produced. I just want to give you a sort of this thing about this cheese. What is this? This cheese was produced last year in Langtang Valley, that is 3,400 meter altitude, where the cheese is produced. Okay, they are the smallholder marginal farmers. They produce they sold milk, the cheese was produced. And you know, that is a tourist area, that is a trekking area where these products are supposed to be sold. But due to COVID, you know, the whole business was closed. So no tourists, no trekkers. And this cheese happened to be in stock till now. So that is what is the meaning of this photo here. The effect of COVID-19 in our Himalayan economy. Now, you would be wondering why this idea of this data are coming. You know, first of all, I would like to just give you a sort of overview of what is the overall global scenario of dairy industry in the world or in the global level. Idea of, you know, all of us, I think we know, you know, who is involved in the dairy industry or dairy business. International Dairy Federation is the apex body for the dairy producing country. Okay, so IDF has stated 2020 you know, I mean, dairy is a major business. This provides, well, the global population is 7.57 billion, 2019 figure, but around 1 billion people have a livelihood from the dairy. So this is a almost, you know, 1/7 of, you know, people depend on this one. And in 2017, the total milk production was around 816 million tons. And you know, this in the global level, the milk production growth rate is plus 2.3 on an average that has been reported. Yeah, and that is, you know, that this growth rate has been achieved since 2000, year 2000. And if you see the volume of the business, 83.6 billion US dollar worth of trade of milk and milk products is there globally. This is a figure from 2013. I don't have the recent figure. And other very important thing is, you know, the milk ranks, you know, in the global agriculture produce, in the commodities, milk is one of the 5 top most important agriculture produce in the world. So it has got a very important value in the livelihood and in the trade, overall trade. And you know, as well, this is very important from the point of view of the nutrition. As we dairymen, we know the value of nutrition, the value of milk, you know, nutrition on health, industry, business, income generation, and employment generation. Now, I would like to come to, you know, now since when this COVID started, you know, there has been, you know, concern among the farmers, among the industry people, among the consumers. Okay, I mean, let me tell you, even near by my place, there is a milk booth. If you go there, people don't want to buy that, you know, packet of milk. People are afraid. Maybe there is a virus, this coronavirus. So what has happened? The Food and Drug Administration, US administration, they have confirmed that, you know, by pasteurizing milk, this inactivates the COVID-19 virus. So the milk, so this virus is not transmitted through milk. So pasteurization inactivates the virus. So that is one of the confirmation. Okay, and as well, all those pasteurized products, they are safe to eat. And other aspect now, I mean, we hear every day WHO's you know, what you call press meet every day. I don't know how many times in a day. And you know, now they also have said that COVID-19 is not a foodborne disease. So milk is a part of the food. So this is safe to eat. So you don't have to avoid. Okay. Now also, I mean, they have also stated that cattle, you know, they are not contracting COVID-19 or spreading. This disease is not transmitted through the cattle or through the milking animal. So, you know, with this, the reason I have presented you here is that this gives a sort of a assurance or confirmation for us, for the consumers, that okay, we can drink milk, we can consume milk and milk products. Here I mean, just I have quoted one statement from the idea of president, relying on dairy in a world consumed by COVID. You can see here, you know, this whole world is consumed by COVID, coronavirus. We are suffering. So, you know, we need a dairy. So, I mean, what is the magnitude of the problem? This is trying to emphasize. So, I have put this statement here. Now, if you see on the social life, you know, this has not been a normal time. Okay. And, you know, this has disrupted everyone's daily lives, dairy supply chain, you know, food supply chains, they are affected. And I mean, we cannot shake hands. or those whoever in the Western culture, they have, I mean, you have a culture of hugging when you meet your friends, family, colleagues. You cannot do that. You cannot visit your family. You cannot visit your friends. So you cannot enjoy the I mean company of social company. So this has been described, this COVID-19 corona, as a silent enemy. So this has affected us. Okay, as well. Just to continue, it has changed how we live and how we think around the world. Okay, here now I have tried to present you, some of the press highlights. I mean, what is the effect on the global level? Though all of us, excuse me, all of us, we are aware, but still, I have taken some highlights from the press in the global level before I go to Nepal. In what do you call it, in June, this one of the Nepalese newspaper has stated that Nepalese dairy market has shrunk to 35%. Okay, the reason is that its biggest consumers like hotels, restaurants, canteens, schools, party places, all sell business stopped. So business has come to has shrunk, has come to a very low level. It has affected. And there is a quote, second that there's a quote from the newspaper. EU, they say that coronavirus spreads to producer in the dairy sector. What is happening? Like, the milk production is very high, too high, but the existing processing markets, processing capacity, they cannot cope the market, and there is a difficulty in procurement and logistic in the dairy processing industries. Like, okay, you need to bring the people working in the plant. There is a fear, they cannot come. So this has created a problem, and as well, due to the above said reasons, there is a collapse in the product market. That's a EU. Okay, now going to, there is one example from the US. US dairy farmers dump milk as pandemic opens the food market. Food market has been affected. So dairy products, milk and milk products they are used in the food chain. So there is one quote I have taken. Like Lidl is a dairy farmer. He has dumped 4,700 gallons. That is around 17,000 liters of milk from his 480 cows each day. Okay, and this had to continue. How long, you don't know. If you see here, there is a photo here that shows the milk is directly coming from the tank and is being drained. And what is happening? When I was reading the story, it says that the milk, there is a machine milking. Okay, so much milk, 17,000 liters of milk every day. You machine milk and it comes to the tank, but it is not held. It's not, you don't go through a process or cooling process or whatever. So it is directly put in the drain. That is the instance of one farmer, but how many farmers are affected? Okay, that's one. Other is, UK dairy industry welcomes COVID-19 aid from the government. Due to this hardship, the farmers, the milk producer, they face like, if you see down below, it says that around over 40 million liters of milk is produced by the farmers every day. And, for them to save these farmers from the fallout, from the collapse, government announced a measure of up to 10,000 pounds each, to overcome the, from the catastrophe or the fallout. That is basically, as I already said, I think it is the same thing. It's due to the, these, restaurant, bars, cafes, they have closed where this, milk and milk products are consumed. And now, if you see okay, I took a quote from India. Coronavirus effect demand for dairy products dips up to 25% India. That's in May 2025. In this news, it also says that now this season, this is a summer season when this is the big season for the ice cream marketing. Consumer, they would like to go to the parlor and have ice cream, and even you buy home and you consume. But due to the fear of contracting, they are not able to buy and consume, and the sale has gone down, has dipped down. And also there is a the senior dairy and agriculture expert Aditya Jha, that's the name quoted. He says that the demand for milk and milk products has dipped down to 15 to 25%. Okay, so this is basically, the largest consumer of the milk and milk products. They are the urban center. They are cities. Okay, where there is a lockdown. I mean, that is the reason the product cannot be sold. So this what you call this sale has gone down. Okay, now here I have a slide. This is saying, this is from the International Monetary Fund. This says that the world, developed countries, developing countries, least developed countries are facing a big shock, economic shock. Okay, in terms of the demand, in terms of supply, health, economic development. This is due to pandemic, due to lockdown. Everybody has to be at home. You can't go out, and all of us we know. Okay, so that is, and here this in this slide, the foremost thing which I want to emphasize here is that IDF says in this situation, IMF has predicted that the outlook of the global economic growth in 2020 is expected to dip down by 3%. Okay, so that is meaning that we have heard. I was not born. I think many of us who are in this were participating probably were not born. There was a Great Depression in 1930. Okay, that's one. Also, I remember this one, 2008 and 9. There was a financial crisis. Okay, so during that crisis, okay, there was depression, but this growth is going to be below that. So it's quite a. I mean, the reason I have put this slide is this is really putting us in great difficulty. So that is what this slide is trying to say. But IMF is hopeful that in next year the economic growth is expected global. They expect that it will grow to 5.8% growth, global economic growth. Here, I mean, my topic is dairying. Okay, it's a milk, but here milk cannot be put in isolation. It is a part of the overall economy. It is a part of the overall agriculture system. Thus, dairying is a part of economy. Thus, it is affected. Dairying is affected simultaneously with this depression and pandemic. Okay, now I'm just giving a brief scenario of Nepalese dairy sector. Now I want to remind you that now we just heard a presentation from the largest milk producer from India. Okay, I mean, you have seen the huge figures. So we are one of the smallest neighbor to India. So our figures will be contrary to the highest, biggest figure. It will be a small figure. So please don't get surprised there. Okay. So here still, if you talk about even a smaller economy, okay, this is a very important business in the Nepalese economy. And in Nepal, milk has come up as a very important business commodity. This is second to rice. Rice is the first commodity, and milk has come as a second commodity. And other thing is like this is the contribution of the milk in the national economy is being small. It is quite significant. It's around 9% in the national GDP. And last year we produced around 22,000 metric ton, 22. 2.1 million metric ton of milk, and the growth rate for last few years it is ranging, but around it is in the range of 3.6 to 4%. And per capita availability of milk in Nepal, according to the last year's figures, are 74.21 liters per capita, and we are striving to go to to the WHO figure, which around 250 to 52 ml per person per capita, that we are striving in at least in 5 to 7 years. And now, if you see the sorry, if you see the consumption pattern, around 17% of the milk goes to the formal sector processing through a milk cooperative, chilling, processing, and marketing, and 33% go through the informal sector, and around 50% home consumed using traditional dairy products like dahi, butter, milk, butter, ghee, khoa, kheer, churpi, etc. Probably the last word which I have used, churpi, probably I'll emphasize upon that because that has come up as one of the important commodity, dairy commodity in the Nepalese dairy sector. Okay, I mean nearly 550,000 milk producing households are engaged around, and there is a direct in the processing industry around 20,000 people employed, processing industry only, and daily around 12 to 15 crore cash flows from cash flows to the farmers. That was because as I said to you, around 50% is the household consumption and 33% is informal. Okay, even informal market, the money goes back to the farmers, and the formal sector also goes back. So it comes 50%. So around 12 to 15 crore Nepalese rupees goes back to the farmers. Okay, and now if you see here, now I want to draw your attention in this photo here. You could see this these sticks here being displayed here, and below here this is a picture from Ilam, where below you could see tea bags, but these sticks are the churpi, okay, which I mentioned here. And what has happened, for last 1 decade, okay, this has been a very traditional product in our place. Not only in our place, I would say that in the Himalayan range. All these places, okay, in the very high altitude, they are traditionally, what is that?
I guess Dilipji, we lost the signal from Mr. Thapa.
Yeah. I think. Hello, Mr. Thapa. So we will wait, or we can continue with another speaker we have with us.
I guess we should continue with other speaker.
Okay. So viewers, sorry for this technical glitch we have faced, and we will wait for Mr. Thapa. Before that, I would like to introduce one of our speaker and guest, Mr. Binesh Panawala. He is CEO Watawala Plantation PLC, Colombo, Sri Lanka. So I will take you through about his journey. So he counts an experience of approximate 27 years in the plantation sector. He started his career in 1992 as a trainee assistant superintendent under Janatha State Developer Board. Thereafter, with Watawala Plantation PLC right throughout, and has climbed the ladder to hold his current position as a Chief Executive Officer. He holds a MSc in Crop Science from University of Peradeniya, holder of MBA from Manipal Sikkim University, a fellow member of National Institute of Plantation Management Sri Lanka, holder of Diploma in Management of Plantation from Kothari Agriculture Management Center. He has undergone extensive higher management training at the National University of Singapore and Center of Creative Leadership, Singapore. He is a member of Executive Committee of Palm Oil Industries Association, Sri Lanka, a member of Board of Biodiversity, Sri Lanka, a member of Sri Lanka Institute of Directors, a member of Plantation Management Committee of Planters Association of Ceylon. Currently,
Okay.
Vice Chairman. Hello.
Oh my. Hi dear, I'm back. Can I do a continue?
Yes, let me introduce Mr. Dinesh Banawala. After that, you can continue. Just give me 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It was
Thank
a technical glitch and we lost you. That's why we tried to.
Yeah, that's fine. Perfect.
Yeah. So give me 30 seconds. I will complete the introduction of Mr. Dinesh. So now he is Vice Chairman, Plantation Service Group of Employees, Federation of Ceylon. So I would request, sorry, Mr. Dinesh, Mr. Thapa is already here. So we will continue with Mr. Thapa, and then I would request to take the call with you. Okay, Mr. Thapa, please continue.
Okay, thank you so much. Are you able to hear, please?
Yes.
Okay, now this I was talking about this should be okay. So now what has happened for last 1 decade? This product has got a market. Some definitely invented that, found a market in the US, and this is sold as a dog chew there. And thereafter, this, there was a demand, and this product has been, going to, India. It is going to America, going to Japan, going to Canada, going to Gulf countries. Okay, so this has been a very important product in the dairy. In fact, to be honest, this is the first dairy product that has formally been exported to overseas countries. So that's the okay. Now sorry. Now if you see here, you'll be amazed because I was talking about the Churpi economy, but it's not. I'm not talking Churpi. I'm still my topic is COVID. Okay, effect of the COVID and BUN. So, but I'm on COVID. Okay. If you see here, there's one photo here. These people carrying, this is a cheese carrying. They earn their livelihood, okay, in the high alpine region, 34,000, 3,400, 3,500 meter high. And if you see, they have a mobile, what you call cheese centers, and here you see they are receiving milk, okay. So I'll go there. So this is done here. Now I'll come to specific on the dairy sector overall economy. I'll go to the next slide. Okay. Here now, I was talking a few of the things, but here if you see what is the impact, it's a tremendous impact in the Nepalese economy. Tourism sector, hotel trekking is badly affected. Okay. Through tourism is our big business. Trekking is a big business in the mountains and in the Himalayan region. And like, international meetings expose cancer. Like, let me share with you ourselves. Our association, Nepal Dairy Science Association, we planned a Asia Regional Dairy Conference. Okay, that was May 6 to 8. That was planned, but due to COVID, that was to be cancelled indefinitely. So, when we come back, we really don't know. And this Everest base camp, the trail, and the Annapurna range, Langtang, all these areas, there is no business, no trekkers. So it has badly affected. And like, all connected, with this business, there is a, food industry. With food, this comes dairy, what do you call, milk, cheese, butter, ghee, and all those things. And, if you see other things here, the helicopter companies, like they take the tourists, or, these things, they are all affected, okay? And here, if you see the last, in the last sentence, busiest Thambel is quite. Thambel is a tourist area in Kathmandu. That has been always a crowded and chaos there. But now, like Chandni Chowk, or I don't know what should I say. And so this is the effect. Okay. Now, if you talk in the milk sector, dairy, specific dairy, like in milk production, in milk production label, if you see, farmers, those commercial farmers, they are not getting a cattle feed, veterinary services. There is a difficulty, okay, and delivery of milk to the milk collection center is not easy due to lockdown. You can't go, and use of surplus milk was a serious problem. As well. I think this is true with India or in other SAARC countries. Out of home sales, like there you have roadside tea shops, local restaurants, and these things. They also consume quite a significant amount of the milk. Okay, maybe almost total 5-10%. So that is all stopped, and even coming through the cooperative or directly, they are not. That's not consumed. Okay, and I don't know, there is a photo here, okay. Unsold milk, now I'll go to the next slide. Excuse me. If you see unsold milk, that is a drained, farmers drained. This is how you could see the here drained. But now if you see here, when they drained the milk, there was a lot of, in social media, there was chaos and there was furor, okay, why don't you give it? So they gave it to the vulnerable people, poor people, so they were able to use it. So that was there, okay. Now, during this collection and transportation, okay. Now, okay, what happened? Collection and this transportation, there was a fear created. There was so much in the international media. There was a hue and cry, okay. So, and it took a while for government to say, okay, we'll allow the very essential commodity to be moved, but still there was a lot of difficulty. You go one point to other point, one district to other point. In the checkposts, they are closed, they are stopped, they have to wait for hours, and you can easily feel. I mean, what happens about the quality of the perishable product, and till it goes to the big market, to the processing plants, it's already sour. So I mean, you cannot use it. Okay, this you already saw it, and now in the processing level, so it is the same thing. I don't need to talk much. Staff, there is a difficulty to come. You cannot travel. There is no transport. Okay, they cannot come to the plant, and also now I think at the beginning I told you, consumers are afraid to buy a packet of milk. I mean, maybe in the surface of this plastic, there is a contamination because it has to go through a long chain. Okay, from the plant, you have this transporter, and there's this guy who vends there, and there's the booth guy who collects it, and the people, all of us, we are afraid. Okay, and I have to tell you, I'm also a consumer. I was looking for milk powders to buy and consume. So due to this, milk sale reduced sharply due to urban consumer move. Also, what happened? All of us, I'm not sure how was the scenario in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka. But India, I saw. I mean, people were to, when this lockdown started, people walked the days and months and to reach home. The same thing here. People started going to rural areas. So this. Milk market is a big market in the urban center, city and town. Okay, rural areas, they have their own milk for them, for the family. So I already told you, out of home sales reduced, and other very important the effect was like stockpiling of the dairy products, especially this skim milk powder, butter, cheese as I showed you in the slide in the high altitude, skim milk powder. Okay. I mean, our demand is not a big demand, around 5,000 tons of powder. And these dairies, we have this milk powder plant, they produce powder as much as they could do that. But thereafter, their stores are saturated. Butter stores were not there. And dairies, they were renting, some of the slaughterhouse or some other deep freeze stores, they were rented and they stored. And now, all these products, they have a shelf life. Okay. So this piling, and it is not only that. I mean, you have to pay the farmers. Okay. So there was a capital blockage and they were not able to pay, even 2-3 payments were delayed and other things. Okay. And also, as I mentioned with Surpi, I showed you a picture, stock buildup of the Surpi due to cross-border travel ban and disruption of international flight. What happened? Sometimes these international flight were they were there. This DHL and other came, but one of the Surpi producer, he told me that previously if they were transporting at $6 a kilo, they were to pay $12 to $14 a kilo. So that became too expensive. Okay. So these are the effect, and these are the problems. Okay. And now to like any other government around the world, our government also they announced the revival package. Government of Nepal made a policy decision to revive the economy by, in the budget they announced around 50 billion rupees as a relief package. So in that one, dairy also, those dairy industry or farmers affected also, they were, they could benefit from that. Also, what happened? They increased, the liquidity or cash flow in the bank was increased. Thus, interest rate can come down, and you can borrow the loan and or to repay and other things. You could do that. And also, there was a rebate announced on the interest rates, bank interest rates, and also they authorized the you can extend the loan repayment schedule. They extended again for 1 more year, depending on the level of effect on the industry. It was 6 month, 9 month, and 12-month extension was given. Okay, and if you see, I have written the other thing as well. Loan to agriculture sector previously was to the loan out of the total loan portfolio, around 10% was previously it was loan was given in the agriculture sector, but this time government increased this to 15% of the total loan portfolio, so that many people, needy people or interested people could get, the farmers or the business dairy could get the loan. Okay. Also, what happened? The reason is that I think in SAARC region, I think most of us know. Okay, our workforce, a lot of big workforce is working in the Gulf, in the East Asia. Okay, so what is happening now with this pandemic? There is a chaos. We don't need to discuss here. So everybody wants to come home. They want to come home. So, if a large, number of people, large population comes from abroad, and they need a job. So this increase in loan portfolio was also increased to encourage the returnees. Okay, they can access the loan and do a business in dairy farming. Okay. Also, there was a special COVID revival loan was also announced, that is available at 5% for the designated areas. The government has announced specific areas. If you want to do a business enterprise in those specific areas, you could get a loan at subsidized rate of 5%. Okay, and this loan should be paid within 1 year. I have written here like a fiscal year ending 77-78. We are in the year Bikram Samvat 2077. So in our calendar goes with this one, but for the sake of international communication and other things, we use this what you call AD calendar. Okay, and also many places local government now we have 3 types of the government. Other is one is central government, other is Pradesh government, and other is local government. So Pradesh government has announced many places. Some they have announced 2 rupees per liter per milk supplied. They could get it, and there has been a relief package has been distributed. In that relief package, milk powder and the ghee also they are included. So that this I was talking about stockpiling, that could also go. Okay. That could be reduced. And now recently, the dairies, the largest dairies, they have announced some discount in the sales price of products. So thus, even this axis I was talking. So they have announced the discount. So thus, that stock is just moving fast. Okay. All right, now, now, this is almost related to the same thing, but this is a monetary policy. announced by the Central Bank of Nepal, and we call Nepal Rashtra Bank. Okay, Nepal Rashtra Bank, what they did, they categorized into three categories: highly affected, and semi-affected, and least affected. Okay, so based on your category, the level you are affected, you could get a relief things like here. If you see in the category 1, they have categorized like tourism industry, hotel, restaurant, trekking, travel agencies, homestay, resorts, aviation, airlines, transportation, entertainment hubs, poultry farming, beekeeping, livestock farming, foreign employment. Okay, so livestock farming, we are in the livestock farming. So we are also, this sector, dairy sector, is within the most affected category. Okay, so I mean, you get a loan in priority and the rebate in this one. So this is expected to benefit, including the dairy sector within the overall livestock sector.
Mr. Thapa, sorry to say, you have another 2 minutes to complete the presentation.
Oh yes,
so,
thank you so much.
Please,
you have rightly
please.
pointed out. This is my last slide.
Now,
it is COVID and beyond. Okay, now in the COVID and in the beyond, after COVID, now COVID is uncertain. Okay, now you hear all the news all around. Again, there is a constitution. They are rethinking to impose lockdown and other things. So even I saw in BBC yesterday, WHO saying that, oh, this is a pandemic, and if you see the other previous pandemic, it may take decades, and so this is uncertain. So it is difficult to say. That is other things, but only we can have wishful thinking. This goes soon, and again, you have this virus. There is a mutation, and new infections are coming and new strains. So it's very difficult to say. But now, in our case, the Nepalese economists, they think that now large workforce is coming and they will be engaged in the agriculture sector. And this is expected to revive the economy fast. So that is V-shaped economy post-COVID is expected. So V-shape, you calm down, then you shoot up. So that is our expectation. Okay. So within the agriculture sector, dairy farming and milk production is one of the preference of returnees, and it is expected dairy sector will come up, it will survive, and people have a livelihood. So thank you so much for listening my presentation. I thank you all. Thank you, the organizer and all participants. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thapa. Thank you for giving this insight to all the viewers. Now I would request Mr. Binesh Pananwala. As I speak about him, he is the CEO, Watawala Plantation PLC, Colombo, Sri Lanka. So, soap is yours. Floor is yours, Mr. Binesh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dilip, for giving that kind introduction, and also that good afternoon to everybody. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to share our thoughts in this webinar today in terms of the Sri Lankan context. So let me share my presentation. Hope that you can see it.
Yeah, it is visible. Please put in presentation mode. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right. So my today's topic is basically the challenges and the opportunities for the dairy sector. In the context of challenges, that I would like to talk about the Sri Lankan context, and then to do it on the global context, how it works, and then how it is related to the Southeast Asian countries. In the context of our neighbors, like that we are very small, and as Sri Lankans, we are population is only about 21 million, and also Sri Lanka is basically a net import of milk products to the country to a value of about 54 billion Sri Lankan rupees. We produce only about 40% of our entire requirement of our milk and milk products, the dairy products. Our fresh milk requirement is around 781 million, and out of which, as I mentioned, that we do only about 447 million. Then also that these inclusive of the cow milk as well as the buffalo milk, which you can see in the screen, and we have always that we have had a deficit. In the context of this, so I can see that this deficit is a huge opportunity market. In the context of the Sri Lankan economy, it's a quite different level when you compare with the other countries in the Southeast Asian countries, only about 0.87%. On the agri base, ours is about 8.5% on the agri based GDP. So also that the context of the challenges in terms of feed cost and the procurement, then related to government policies, then high quality, high yielding breeds with superior in. So the deep into the terms of upstream dairy operation, which is basically we're talking about the, I think always the feed is challenged anywhere in the world. In terms of us, and the total mixed ration is worked out. So it's basically on the energy and the protein level that we work out on the requirement of feed, and we work out on the dry matter content, and also that basically that we have to feed around 4% of the body weight, and that is what we do. And then I'm not going to touch too much on the technical side of it, but basically the yield and the potential of the entire herd is kind of a judge on the yield and the potential of the herd. So as a result, that like kind of some other farms what we do in Sri Lanka, we have lots of issues of getting our procurement of our feed requirement. So when in that context in Sri Lanka, the small farmers, which has about 3 to 4 cows, they constitute to about 90% of the production, whereas the large and middle-sized farms constitute only about 10% of the local production. So the small farmers, when you put together that we look at it in basically the production is quite low, mainly because of the know-how in feeding and also availability of feeding and the feed material and the ration formulation and the nutrient component which goes into their ration. As a result, that we see is not being like kind of other than the 10 or 5%, the rest are kind of suffering on the sustainability, viability of these farms. So this is a huge challenge as far as the feed concerned. And also that feed is mainly for the large farms is bought from outside. So there are suppliers who brings in the feed material. So the feed context or the core base. So we do have sorghum We do have the napier grass. We do have some grasses that the pasture that which we use, which is the latter two, the CO3 and the guinea, the most used segments in the local context, whereas the large farms are based on the maize, and also that those farms have their own areas to cultivate and then to feed some part of the requirement of feed. So purchasing the feed material at the right price and also the right quality is a huge challenge. In terms of quantity, we had a kind of an issue with regards to the armyworm about 6-7 months ago. As a result, like being an island nation, that we had enough more issues of securing our feed material. So as a result, that we saw a drop in the entire potential or the entire milk yields in the country, and there was a scarcity for milk. So these challenges are met by importation of some other material like alfalfa from other countries. These can be afforded only by the large farms. But unfortunately, for the smaller sector, they are unable to kind of get into that segment. As a result, that, as I mentioned before, that their production or productivity is comparatively lower to be at that level. As I mentioned, that the maize is the best source of dairy raw material. So the challenges are not readily available in highland. So in Sri Lanka, it's a small country with 65,000 square kilometers, which is equal to about 6.5 million hectares land only. And most of the dairy sector is concentrated to the highlands of the Sri Lanka. And unfortunately, the things like maize doesn't grow much better in the highlands. As a result, it has to be secured from the dry zone, which is mainly on the rain-fed conditions it grows, with two monsoons, with the southwest monsoon as northeast monsoon. As a result, that we see different harvesting periods, which is a challenge of procuring the volume of maize. And also the other issue that what we find is that currently the importation of maize seeds have been discouraged. As a result, there's a huge demand for maize seeds, and the growers of maize finds it's better viable to sell it as seed maize rather than selling to the fodder maize for the dairy sector. And also that as far as the seed concerned, we have mostly the maize which is used for human consumption and not as the fodder maize, which can get a higher yield from a unit area or a land area, which is not available, which has to be lobbied and then get into it with the government intervention. But the government is getting fully engaged in getting Sri Lanka having that goal of achieving the self-sustainability of dairy and dairy products, which is a huge kind of a manifesto that the government is taking through. And also the other thing is that with regards to the purchase price of maize and the transport, as I mentioned, that it has to come a long way. As a result, the cost of purchasing maize is a kind of a challenge. And as a result, the farmers are moving into the other agri-growing practices or cultivation or different categories for basically for kind of a better income. So we as the large farms, that are what our main model is to have basically nucleus farms in the dry zone, and to get this, collect all this material from the smallholders, which is more of win-win situation, and also that it will bring the livelihood for the smallholders also to get engaged with the large farms and move forward in the right direction towards the sustainability of dairy products in the country. The most important factor is that with lack of nutritious raw material, inconsistent supply, the profitability suffers, and it discourages the investors and in order to invest and result in high investments in the dairy sector. But which we have seen some improvements in the last couple of years, and I see that this is a huge opportunity to getting involved with the dairy business, getting involved with the entire value chain of the dairy, as because we are net importers of dairy products. Also, that with regards to the other challenge with the breeding system, the breeding policies of the country. Actually, we are in absence of breeding policy for dairy cows at state level. We have one breeding service provider, which is government. Few large companies are doing their own breeding policy, but all these are being imported. Even the semen is imported. Some other material what is required is imported, and also that most of the cattle, which has a large kind of a better productivity, has been imported, and we are in the process of developing a genetically superior herd in the country. So this is an opportunity for the others to look at it in terms of helping, assisting some of these companies who are willing to get engaged in the dairy sector, and also that since that the kind of a milk price in the country is much higher than in the world standard, is about quite high. So as a result, it's more profitable, and then kind of it will be more viable in terms of if we bring down the cost. So we are in the process of looking at it in terms of genetically building superior herd in the country. So these, like, if we really again go back to the numbers, our yields are in the free range as well as the organized sector. We see quite a lot lower yields, which is around 4 liters per animal, which is, I must say, that quite low. But in the organized sector, it's very good, which is more than it's par with the world standards. So this is mainly because of the inbreeding and also using the same bull for kind of covering. So these are the issues that we have been having, which have been identified, and that this is a challenge to come up with a different model. Most of the private sector farms import their semen, and we are dependent on good semen. So there is opportunity to locally produce semen, and also the government should find best efficient, best performing dairy breeds for each climatic zones. So this is what is another challenge in order to kind of improve the basic the yields, the productivity from the herd that we have locally. I'm not going to talk much about the environmental factors. I think it's common to most of the parts in the world. But ours, that, as I mentioned before, that in the highland that we do grew up, we have most of the herd, which is the dairy sector is concentrated in the highland, which is the temperature from 21 to 25 centigrade temperature. Then the be met with control environments, which has to be humidified, and also that we use higher energy for these things. As a result, the cost of production of milk is much higher in terms of milk conversion to the feed. So these are some of the challenges that the dry zone is basically looking at it in terms of better productivity. Then also that dairy lack of expert knowledge with dairy breeding, that's another problem, which is a challenge. We have a lack of, we get all from overseas. I'm sure that we get a lot of expertise from India, which is the biggest producer of dairy milk in the world. We get lot of things coming in, And also that we are looking at it more for better investment opportunities in local context in developing this dairy sector. Uh, we have issues with regard to the nutrition consultants, then also the veterinarians, and also that some of the AI technicians, which has to be trained, and also that to get them to kind of a work in the large farms. We have issues of proper herd managers who have hands-on experience, who had run large farms, in order to kind of link it to the breeding side of the farm, by which that we can improve to superior genetics and vis-a-vis increase the production in the country. So I touch upon some of the other things which I discussed in my previous slide. So it's basically the education and training is a kind of a challenge for us. Lack of training, dairy training, teaching centers, then also animal husbandry. We have few training schools, but most of them are related to the kind of poultry and other agriculture sectors. Then non-availability of dairy specialized institutes for those who are willing to follow the dairy farming. So these are some of the areas of concern, and also the challenges that which we need to overcome as a team as a country. Then also that we have one veterinary college in Sri Lanka producing general veterinary science graduates, but we don't have a kind of a livestock animal veterinary degree programs in this country. And also that what we have seen in the past is that veterinarians are interested in small animal and poultry. These fields are more lucrative, and they are kind of they're more organized than the dairy sector, other than few large farms that we have in Sri Lanka. Then other challenge is that the government policies, and also with regard to the vaccination schedules. Since Sri Lanka imports most of the products, that we have issues with regard to getting our vaccination programs going. So this also is one reason why our productivity may be lower, other than the organized sector. But basically the small sector is that suffering from this, and resulting in poor productivity, poor reproduction, etc. Then also that we have some other issues with regard to lack of knowledge in hygiene practice in the upstream or in the farms, which end up with various diseases, and as a result that it suffers the quality of milk. So these are the ones that which has issues with regard to the entire value chain, the processing side, and which has kind of a direct impact on the final product which goes into the market. So these had to be kind of aligned with the right policies, right know-how, and also the knowledge sharing. Then also the veterinary specific biochemical and blood analysis facilities in the state sector and the private sector is an important factor to kind of diagnose the procedures, etc., and also to give that know-how. All imported, and also some are being locally produced. But unfortunately, with some of these things, it's not consistently available. There is short supply in the market, which has a huge impact on the entire value chain or the back end of the dairy production. So this is also an opportunity for the others to look at it in terms of Sri Lankan market, and also to look at it in terms of dairy farming, in terms of getting involved in production as well as import of these medicines and also the chemicals for the powders, etc. And also that as we had this earlier presentation, we had kind of basically we have few issues with regard to the post-COVID situation. Farms are facing issues in procuring essential medicines. And also that we had a few issues, the challenges of procuring our feed requirement during the last 3 months, whereas the transport was an issue. And as a result that we had to kind of our production also was dropped up to a certain level, not to a greater deal, but still we saw a drop in it, and we saw basically the offtake from our farms to the processors of milk was less. So that was a huge problem. That's what we had during that time. Thank God that which we have come out with it, and then we see kind of at least some kind of a consolation as of now. So as I mentioned, the Sri Lanka is predominantly on the world, and the usage of liquid milk is very, very small market segment. So it's very important. I think the government have realized that it is important to kind of promote using liquid milk, and also that in very freshest form of milk usage is the important part which the government has realized and trying to propagate now. So it's required, it's important to promote fresh milk consumption when compared to the powdered milk, then also improve fresh milk quality. So this is a huge kind of impact which we need to kind of really address of getting proper fresh milk quality. The previous presentations, I think it was highlighted that when you collect from the collectors or small farmers, you collect it from various people, so the guarantee of proper milk quality is a little bit of lacking. But however, the large farms are in the sector, basically the quality of milk is much better in the local context. And also the government has realized, as I mentioned, that they should go for a few large farms. As a result, the milk quality will improve, and also that this will kind of have an immense benefit to the processors to make good quality products which goes into shelf, which is sure for the consumers. So we are doing all this research, etc., on antibiotic residuals and things like that. So these are some of the challenges which we are focusing as of now. Then other thing is that basically at the farmers level, the profit is not equally shared. So there are two fronts to it. One is that basically the cost of production of the farmer is much higher because their conversion is much lesser. As a result, the cost is high. So one side that we need to help them to reduce the cost of production. Other side, we need to get a better price. So getting a better price is basically the benefit that which has to get to the farmer, and also the processor also has to get the right margin for their products. So the government should look at it in terms of looking at it as the milk selling price, more of a gain sharing basis. As a result, that both the processor as well as the farmer will gain, whilst working on the other side of improving productivity, reducing the cost, improving the conversion of dry matter to the milk. So that's important factor. Then also that as an opportunity, that there is a huge opportunity to look at it in terms of genetically upgrade our high potential dairy cows. We need to have different sectors for dry zone and also the upcountry where the production will most of our large farms are using sex semen. As a result, that are kind of we reduce bull calves accumulation, which is a cultural issue in most of the South Asian countries. I'm not going to go through this the slide, mainly that because we are local, our production is only 40%. Milk powder import is about 55 to 60 billion annually that we spend. Local production is paramount in terms of reducing this, and also to look at the foreign drain. We have certain land limitations and also the land utilization for better land utilization. So these are some of the challenges we have in order to improve the land utilization to get a better productivity from the land as well in terms of pasture, because the pasture and also the feed for dairy is relatively newer for the entire country. So this has to be a new business model which has to come in, and also that it has to be a more organized sector for the dairy industry if it is to move forward in the coming years. How do we basically we are looking at it, how to bridge this gap? One is that, as I mentioned again, that the sufficient feed availability need for the land pasture, plan of breeding and extension, then also large scale dairy. We need to look at it for large scale dairy, attract big investments. Again, the land to provide by the government, then also incentivize the farmers and also large sector, medium sector to getting into this investment model. Because as in the first, second years, I don't think that any farm will make money. So it will take some time. So there should be more of a gestation period, which has to be provided by the government or the organized sector to leg up the entire dairy sector in this country. The land is a major issue where it is not really we have land, but most of the land is available in the government, with the government hands, and those are not being utilized. So we are looking at it in terms of getting this land for the large, what you call dairy farms, and also to promote the nuclear farm effect, by which the small farmers also gain the benefit of it. So these are the requirement of land for us. I'm not going to take you through on this because it will not be more relevant to you. And also that we are in the process of looking at different land bank in the country, around the country, to grow pasture and to keep that cost low in vis-a-vis that entire the value chain can be kept in a more of a viable condition. So I come to the end of my presentation. I'm not going to elaborate too much on it, and let me thank you for listening. And I'm open for any questions in context of the Sri Lankan situation, as well as the how do we link it to the global scenario of how do we do it and what are the challenges, and also that looking at it in terms of finding solutions and bridging these gaps, and more so that we are looking at it in terms of investment opportunities, linking up with the Sri Lankan partners, and also that we link up with the foreign investments in order to share the know-how and also share our gain. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vinesh, to give the insight about Sri Lanka dairy and industries. So now we had a fourth speaker, Mr. Muhammad Shah Imran, who is